Okay, this is a set of examples that have to do with solving one- and two-step equations. We start with a one-step equation. The instructions here say tell which property you would use to solve the following equations, and then we're going to solve them. So I attack the operations that are happening to the letter. My goal is to get the letter alone. So I have addition here. I'm going to subtract from both sides to make the 8 disappear, and then I must do it over here, and that is the solution. This is called the subtraction property because I subtracted the same thing from both sides. Okay, this example, done the same way. I look at the side with the letter. I see that addition is the operation that is on the side with the letter, so I undo that addition or that positive number by subtracting it from both sides of the equal sign, and I get P is equal to negative 15. Again, that's the subtraction property because I subtracted the same thing from both sides. In this particular example, I have notice a negative 4 that I have to get rid of. All right, I'm not looking at this addition sign, I'm looking at this minus 4. So to make that disappear, this time to make a negative 4 disappear, I have to add to both sides of the equal sign. It makes that disappear, and over here it ends up being 19. So because I added the same thing to both sides, this is called the addition property of equality, because I added to both sides of the equal sign. Other equations here that take one step. Again, when we see this situation, we have 2/3 times x is how I would read that. The operation that is attaching to the x is multiplication. So if I follow the logic, that means I would have to do the opposite of that and divide both sides by 2/3. It's a good chance to check your calculator skills, your calculation skills. 2/3 divided by 2/3 gives me the 1x that I'm looking for. And then negative 18 divided by 2/3 is what I would type into your calculator. And that gives us a value of negative 27. If I go on to this one then, I have negative 6 times b. Again, my focus, I go to the side with the letter, and I look at the operation that I have to undo. Here, this is multiplication, not subtraction, so I have to divide both sides by the negative 6 so that I end up with a 1b on this side, and then I do the math on this side to find my solution. Both of these are the division property of equality, because in both of these problems I had multiplication and I had to divide both sides to get my letter by itself. This is a situation here where we have a fraction bar. You need to learn to understand that that is division. X divided by 4 is how I would read that. So to undo that, I have to do the opposite of that operation and multiply by 4. This is a way to show multiplication. When I multiply this side by 4, the 4's cancel, leaving me with 1x. And over here, I get my solution of negative 32. So once we learn to do, to get rid of the 4 basic operations of add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and by the way, this was the multiplication property here because I multiplied both sides by the same thing. Now we're ready to do the next level of equation, which we call the two-step equation. They are called two-step equations because as you see here, and you look at the letter, there are 2 operations that are with the letter, with the variable in both situations. So I can actually make my plan based on the operations that I see here, the numbers that I see. I'm going to clear this number called the constant first. So I'm getting rid of this subtraction, so I know I need to add. I need to do the addition property first. We like to clear our addition, our subtraction first. Then I'm going to come back and do my coefficient second, and that is multiplication in the problem, so I know I have to do the division property in order to clear it. So now I'm going to put that plan into action. I'm going to add 3. The property says I have to do it over here. I made this disappear. So now I've got a simpler looking equation. We want to try to get rid of one thing at a time. And here I'm left with one operation, and this is multiplication. So as I planned, I'm going to clear that multiplication by dividing. So I would type in 28 divided by 1/4, and that would give me a solution of 112 for my n value. So I added and I divided, and the letter is alone. In the last example, again, I have 2 numbers or operations that are with the letter. All right. This one, we notice that the constant here is positive 6. That's what you've got to notice, that the constant that I'm trying to get rid of is positive 6. And the coefficient that I'm trying to get rid of is a negative 3. This negative sign, or this subtraction, makes this 3 negative. So my plan to get rid of the constant, since it's positive, is to subtract, use the subtraction property. I'm not looking at this sign right here. I'm looking at the positive 6. Then I need to look at the other operation that's occurring here. I am multiplying by a negative 3 here, so I need to do the division property in order to get rid of the negative 3, and I need to do the subtraction property in order to get rid of the 6. So that's my plan. Now I'm going to put it into action, getting rid of the constant first, making the positive 6 disappear. Remember, this 3 still stays negative, giving us a 15 on this side after we do the same thing to both sides. My equation is simpler now, so now I can divide both sides to get rid of the multiplication, creating a positive 1x here and a solution of negative 5. Now, equations can be checked. I could have checked all of them. I'm going to show how to check this one. When we check equations, we are using the order of operations. This one doesn't have too many operations in it, so I'm going to show that negative 5 is the number that's missing right here in this arithmetic. So I put the negative 5 in place of the x. Now I'm going to follow the order of operations. I have no parentheses. These don't count. There's no math inside, no exponents. So now I'm ready to do multiplication and division. I do have multiplication here. Again, we remember that a subtraction sign creates a negative number here. So I actually have 6 plus 15, because a negative times a negative is positive here. So we've got to watch our negative signs here. Then I can see that 6 plus 15 does equal 21. So this shows that the missing number that makes this equation true is a negative 5. So I can know for sure that that is my solution.